The United Kingdom is now in a post-Brexit reality. Obviously, there's a big part of re-establishing the United Kingdom economically and in other respects vis-a-vis Europe. But do tell us about your thoughts on that. But if I can also ask, hasn't your entire post-Brexit calculation also changed because America looks at Europe fundamentally differently? It's not the same. The relationship has also changed. Therefore, has that impacted Britain's dynamics with Europe?
Yeah. Look, it's a really interesting question about Britain's role, especially post-Brexit. And I'm actually reminded of Prime Minister Modi ji's description of our role when he came to London some years ago, and he said, James Bond provides the entertainment and Brook Bond invigorates us all. And if I think as Prime Minister, I probably didn't look as good as James Bond in a dinner jacket, but I certainly tried to reinvigorate our diplomatic relationships by drinking a lot of tea everywhere I went around the world. But I think you can see
many in the hall, though, who may think he came close, right?
Yeah.
By political standards, from what you expect from netas, that's quite sharpened up, very sharpened up.
I'll take that, Rob. But actually, you're setting an example tonight, actually, which I'm not sure I can live up to. But thank you for saying that. Now, that nimbleness that you talk about is something that I think we have taken advantage of. And when I was Prime Minister, we took the UK into the Trans-Pacific Trade Partnership, which you'll be familiar with. That's the first big European nation to join that trade partnership. Similarly, I strengthened our ties from a defense and economic perspective with Japan and South Korea. You've seen the new Prime Minister, I'm pleased to say, actually continue to take advantage of that nimbleness, Vishnu, and that is the trade deal with India, probably the deepest trade deal that India has signed, the UK first kind of big country to do that in Europe, but also the trade deal that the UK has negotiated with the US, outside of the EU, having that flexibility to talk to the Americans and find actually a positive outcome relative to expectation and many others. And so I think that's important. Diplomatically, you talked about that, economic power is shifting east. And I think that's why it's important the Prime Minister was here. The bonhomie that you talked about is strong. We have good relationships with the Gulf states, which again are part of this multipolar world. And the other aspect of Britain's new role is technology, which I know we'll get to in a minute. But the UK has 4 of the world's 10 leading universities. It is the technology superpower in Europe. More venture capital in the UK than France and Germany combined. And Stanford do an index of countries on AI. The UK comes third behind the US and China. And we hosted the first AI summit under my leadership. And I'm pleased India is hosting the latest iteration of that series in February. But that was a summit that we created in the UK. It's been held in South Korea, France, and now India. I think so that speaks to the influence that UK can have in this post-Brexit world, whether it's on technology or on trade.